Hey guys, this is Austin, and today I'm here with a recap of the BlackBerry 10 launch. So not only did they announce the brand new operating system, but they also announced a pair of new phones to go with it, so let's take a look. Starting with the phones, they announced one with a keyboard, which is going to be the Q10, and one without the keyboard, which is going to be the Z10. So I think the Z10 is going to be more of the mainstream option, as it does have a 4.2-inch touchscreen, as well as a pretty good looking design. It is packing some pretty decent specs, however. So that 4.2-inch display has a resolution of 1280 by 768, giving it a very high pixel density comparable to what you would find on the iPhone and some other high-end handsets. And on top of that, it also is powered by a dual-core 1.5 GHz processor. Now they weren't exactly specific on what this is, but my money would be on a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4. You'll also find 2 GB of RAM on board, as well as 16 GB of storage built in. Now something I think a lot of people are going to like is that the backplate is removable, so that means that you can go ahead and swap the battery, the SIM card, as well as add an SD card of up to 32 GB. As far as the cameras go, it sports an 8 megapixel shooter around back with 1080p video recording, as well as a front-facing camera with 720p video. If you're looking for a keyboard, the Q10 is where it's at. So this looks much more like a typical BlackBerry, and if I trust them to do anything right, it's going to be to make an awesome physical keyboard. However, this actually does look pretty nice, as if you flip it over to the back, it has a special glass woven material, which BlackBerry was very eager to kind of talk about and say how amazing it is. So it's probably not all that special, but it does give it a very nice look to the device. This is also powered by a dual-core processor. Unfortunately, they weren't very specific as far as the specs go, so a lot of this stuff we'll probably find out a little bit later, as the Z10 will be coming out much sooner than the Q10. However, what you can expect is a 3.1-inch touchscreen, of course, with a resolution of 720 by 720, which again should actually be a very nice screen. The star of the show is definitely BlackBerry 10. So they pretty much removed everything as far as the old BlackBerry OS, and have taken a few bits from the Playbook OS, but for the most part this is all new, and it looks good. Not amazing, but it looks good. So the first thing that struck me as I was watching all the demos was it looked very smooth. Now of course this is something that we pretty much take for granted in iOS, or Android, Windows Phone these days, but it is good to see that it looked very smooth, and a lot of the gestures and the multitasking were actually really impressive. One thing you won't find on any BlackBerry 10 smartphone is a home button. So instead, everything is really optimized to work with gestures. For example, if you want to do some multitasking, you swipe in from the bottom, you want to check your notifications, you swipe in from the left, and it seemed to work pretty well. On top of that, it's also really optimized for one-handed use. So for example, the keyboard which they showed off, of course the touch version of it, looks really responsive and way ahead of anything else that's out there. So for example, you could just not do any spaces, and it would be very smart as far as figuring out what you're saying. One of the big things they were talking about is BlackBerry Hub, which basically integrates all kinds of information into a single spot. Now this is hardly a new idea, however it looks like they did a really good implementation with this version. So basically it takes a lot of different information, for example Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, but it also takes other things, for example calls, emails, texts, calendars, and it all puts it into one spot. So if you want to look up some information on one person, maybe like a contact or whatever, well, it will populate all the rest of the information and it'll all be available in one spot. So for example, you could look up a person's email address, shoot them an email, then tweet something, go check on LinkedIn, all from one spot, and it looked really nice and smooth. BBM also now has video chatting built in, so it looks pretty much like FaceTime, nothing all that revolutionary, but it is a kind of a nice feature to add. And on top of that, something I'm a little bit more excited about is the fact that you can screen share using BBM video chat. So this is actually something really cool. Of course, screen sharing has been around on the desktop with Skype and that kind of thing, but being able to actually do that from your phone is really cool. It also looks like apps are going to be well taken care of. So BB10 will be launching with over 70,000. Now of course most of these are probably not going to be all that high quality, however you will find quite a few of the standard things you would expect, including Twitter, Facebook, Skype, Kindle, and much more. On top of that, it also does have support for Android apps, sort of. So basically it ships with an Android 2.3 virtual machine. So when you want to do an Android app, you can kind of make it work, but of course running in a virtual machine probably not going to give you the best performance. But the possibility of using Android apps is there. The BlackBerry Z10 will start to go on sale around the world over the next couple months. So for example, in the UK, it actually goes on sale tomorrow. However, if you live in Canada, you're going to have to wait till next month. And for the United States, you're going to have to wait until March, where it will be launching both on AT&T as well as Verizon for $200 on a 2-year contract. Anyway guys, I'm curious to know, what do you think about BlackBerry 10 as well as the new phones? Personally, the Q10 really doesn't do it for me. I'm kind of given up physical keyboards a long time ago. However, the Z10 looks like something that I would be actually interested in. And I definitely do plan on doing a review on it as soon as I can get my hands on one. But anyway, definitely be sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys are interested in more, feel free to check out some reviews I've done of some other high-end smartphones lately. And if you enjoyed, definitely be sure to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more BlackBerry 10 content. Anyway guys, I will catch you next time.